up everyone, it's me Marabella, and today I'm going to show you how to make a character selector GUI like the strongest battlegrounds in Roblox Studio. So there are a lot of tutorials of this on YouTube, but none of them work and a lot of them are outdated. So I decided, why not make one of my own? I'm going to explain it in a really simple way so that even complete beginners who just started like a day ago can do it. So let's get started. Okay, so now let's get set up. So go to replicated storage, click on the plus, and create a folder called remotes. And inside that folder, make another folder called main remotes. And inside that folder, create a remote event and call it main remote. Now let's get started with the GUI. So go to starter GUI, create a screen GUI, and call it character selector. And inside here, create a text button. Call this text button drop down button and put it somewhere on the top of your screen. So I'm just gonna make it really small. I'm gonna add a UI corner to it. Let's just make it really round, so 10,9, and make it smaller like it's a button. Now just adjust it to your liking. So I'm gonna make the background color black and make the transparency like 0.5 or 0.6. I will change the text color to white and do text scaled, and I'll just change this to C. Okay, now you're done with your drop down button. Now let's create a drop down frame. So create a frame and call this drop down frame and just like move it down to your liking. Here add a UI grid layout. So basically what a UI grid layout is it basically takes the shape of it's underneath. Like right now our UI grid layout is underneath our drop down frame. So it takes the shape of our drop down frame and lays whatever is inside the drop down frame like in a grid layout. So you can change the cell padding and all. I'm gonna just make the transparency to 1. And here I will add a text button. It's a bit too big. Let's just change cell size to 0.70 and 0.50. Now just take this text button and duplicate it 2 times. So 1. Oh wait, no. And now just duplicate this text button how many times you want. So if you want like 4 characters, duplicate it 4 times. If you want more, then duplicate it more than 4. So I'll just have 4 characters, so I'll duplicate it 4 times. And now rename the text button to char1 button. Change the second one to char2 button. Change the third one to char3 button. And the fourth to char4 button. Select all these buttons and just like customize it, like how you did on top. So I'll just do black, 0.6 transparency. Change the text color to white and text scaled. Now inside of these text buttons, just change the text to whatever you want or whatever character you want the button to be. So I'll just put it as char1. And this is char2 and char3 and then char4. If you want, you can add a UI corner to like the text buttons as well. Now, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all these text buttons and change the background transparency to 1. And same thing with the text transparency. Just change it to 1, which will make it completely visible. So we're gonna do like an animation where it fades in and out when we click on the drop down button. So before we code that in, there's one extra step we need to do. We need to make a folder of all our characters and the skills inside them. So just go to server storage, create a folder, call this characters. Inside this folder, insert one folder and call it character1. And make sure the capitalization and spelling is the same as the text of our buttons. These both should be like the same. Otherwise, like the script won't work. Inside this folder, create like a folder called skill. So I'll just call it skill. I'll just create 4 skills for 4 characters. Rename to skill 2. And just duplicate this character and rename it. So now we have character 2. And then character 4. Now let's get into the scripting part. So first thing, go to starter player, and in starter player scripts, create a local script. You can call this local script anything you want. I'll just call it character selector. Delete this, the placeholder text. So do local ts is equal to game get service tween service. Basically what tween service is, it's like to help make smoother animations. Like if you want to change the color of a rig when they get hit, you'll need tween service. And if you want like a fade in and out animation or a slide in and out animation on your GUI, you'll also need tween service for that. So local rs is equal to game get service replicate storage. We need replicate storage because our remote is in there. And do local uis is equal to game get service user input service. Whenever we press a key on our keyboard, or if I like click on my mouse, I want the game to know that I've actually done the action, or something should happen when I do the action. So to do that, I will need user input service. Do local main remote is equal to rs.remotes.main remote. So basically what we're seeing here is we're going in replicated storage. We're accessing our remotes folder. We're going inside our main remotes folder, and we're getting our main remote from that folder. And we're storing in a variable called main remote. Do local plr is equal to game.players.local players. So basically we're getting the players that join the game. Now do local character selector UI is equal to player.playerGUI.character selector. So basically we're getting a screen GUI so we can access all the elements inside of it, like our text buttons. So now do character selector UI dot drop down button dot mouse button one click. So if we click on the drop down button, then connect it to a function, and do if character selector UI dot drop down button dot drop down frame dot character button 1 or char button 1 dot background transparency is equal to 1. Then so basically what we're saying here is if our character 1 button background transparency is 1, then continue the line of code. Now we're going to do something called a for loop. It will basically loop through everything that's inside the for loop, and it's going to change some stuff up. So do for I comma v in pairs. Make sure it's pairs and not I pairs, because both of them are two different things. Character selector UI dot drop down button dot drop down frame. So basically we're looping through whatever is inside the drop down frame. And what's inside the drop down frame is our character buttons. So we're looping through all of those. Actually, hold on. Let's go to our player GUI. Let's go to all our text buttons. Change visible to false. If you're wondering why I did this, and anyways, like it's gonna be invisible, basically you can still interact with the button even though it's not visible. If we turn like this to false, you can't even interact or see it. So yeah, we're gonna do if we is a text button, then if we is of type text button, then continue. We dot visible is equal to true. So we're turning the visibility on so we can interact with it now. So now do local, let's just make a space here. Open tween is equal to, we're going to access our tween service, and we're going to create a new tween. We're going to say what we want to like animate, which is our v variable. If you wonder why our variable is called v, you can actually call this anything. This is a temporary variable, which means we won't be like using it outside of our for loop. So it doesn't really matter what you name it. You can just call it we. So now do tweens info.new, the time you want it to fade in. So I just want it to be 1 second. And do enum.easingstyle.linear. If you're familiar with graphs, you'll probably know what this means. If you're not familiar with the graphs, it's basically like how smooth it will like fade in. So we're changing it to a linear direction. It's just like normal fade in. Do enum.easingDirection.out. And then do special brackets. Oh, sorry, do not do special brackets in here. Okay, now do special brackets. Or curly braces. Now we're going to do text transparency is equal to 0 and background transparency is equal to 0.6. So this is basically saying what we want to do in our animation, what we want to animate. So we're animating our text transparency. We're going to make it 0 at the end. And our background transparency is going to be 0.6 at the end. Open tween. Play. So we're playing our tween. So let's actually test this out to see if it works. Okay, now let's click on C. And it does not work. Why is that? So let's do print. Clicked. If this prints, then that means it's executing. Oh, character selector is not a valid member of player GUI. Okay, so I have found how to fix the issue. Instead of doing dot character selector, do wait for child quotation marks character selector. Basically, the difference between dot and wait for child is wait for child, you're waiting for it to load. So if it's not loaded yet and you're clicking on it, you'll probably get errors. Now let's move on all the way here. Else if, actually let's just copy paste this. And instead of 1, let's do 0.6 or the value you put over here. And now do the text, change the text transparency to 1 and the background transparency also to 1. So it's not visible. Change the name to close tween. Paste the name on the play. Delete the v.visible is equal to true. And change out to in. Now do close tween dot completed connect function. Do v.visible is equal to false. So if you're wondering what we're doing here, this entire block is basically for when the drop down frame is invisible, like we can't see it. So we're gonna make it visible, and we're gonna make it so the player can interact with it. So here we're doing the opposite. So like we're doing it for when the player wants to close the frame. So let's just test it out right now. Now click on C. We have clicked on the GUI. See again, it does not close. Why? Okay, now it works. Okay. So I found out how to fix the error. So like only do this part if yours is not working like mine. So basically in the else if, like when it was normal, do an else And print background transparency is not 1 or 0.6. And if it prints like this, then that means your background transparency is not matching these numbers. It will not like close. So to fix that, what I did is create a variable for the transparency because the code is getting quite long. Let's just do local transparency character is equal to character selector UI, the drop down button, the drop down frame, dot character one button, dot background transparency. And then add a print statement, print current background transparency. Let me just remove that, I don't need it now. I know it works. And we create a function, so do local function is close to, and put in value, target, and epsilon as parameters. And then return math.abs value minus target is less than epsilon. So basically what this means is we're just returning this value. And do if is close to transparency 1, 0.01, then now do the exact same thing when you're playing the close animation, but change 1 to 0.6, and yeah, it should basically work now. So if you're still confused about the issue, before we were moving on with closing the GUI, if only the background transparency is 0.6. So if it's anything like 0.61118, then it won't close. So what we're doing here is we're creating a function called isCloseTo. And if it's close to 0.6, if it's close within this range, then only we will continue. Okay, so now we're going to do a for loop again. So do for I, v in pairs, character selector UI dot drop down button dot drop down frame get children. So we're getting everything inside of drop down frame. And here just do if we is a text button. Oh, wrong is a. Then continue the line and do we dot mouse button one click connect function. So basically now we're doing the part where we select our character. So this really long part is just animating. This is the actual like selecting character part. Now do main remote fire server character select. Go out of the quotation marks and do we dot text. So what this line means is basically there are two things called client and server. So this, what we just coded right now, is the client. It's sort of like the behind the scenes work. Another example of client could be detecting clicks, just getting the base logic or structure in. The server is the stuff that actually shows on screen. So our like main selection thing is going to be in the server. So fire server basically means we're giving the server a signal with our remote event. We're giving it a signal that something has been done. All this has been done. Do something with it. And you can give it extra information. So the information we're giving to the server now is character select and we text. Now go to server script service. Create a regular script. Call that script whatever you want. I'll just call it character selector. Delete the placeholder code. Local MPS, it stands for marketplace service. So do game get service marketplace service. So this is only needed if you want to make a Gamepass character. So if you want to make a Gamepass character, then you need marketplace service. Now do local server storage is equal to game get service server storage. We need server storage because our character folders are in there. Now do local rs is equal to game get service replicate storage. Do local main remote is equal to rs dot remotes dot main remotes dot main remote. Okay, so basically we're doing the same thing as what we did in the client side. Now just do local char folder is equal to server storage dot characters. Now let's just get our module script. And to get module scripts, all you need to do is local combat module is equal to require script dot combat module. So we're just getting our combat module script now. Main remote dot on server event connect function, and here do plr comma event type comma arg1. Arg1 stands for argument 1. So basically what we're saying on this line is if we have received the signal that our client had sent us, then connect it to a function with plr event type and arg1 passing. Now do local char is equal to player dot character. So if you're wondering what's the difference between character and player, so the person playing the game is the player. So I'm the player and my avatar is the character. So like that's the difference. Inside the character there are different things called like humanoid root part and humanoid that can basically like control the player. We can modify the humanoid root part and the humanoid and change it up, and like adding particle emitters and so on. Now do if event type is equal to, so if event type is equal to character select, make sure the spelling and capitalization is exactly the same as what you put in the client side. Otherwise, like the script won't work. Then, so local char name is equal to argument 1. So basically, we're making a variable for the character's name. So what character is it? That's going to be equal to argument 1. Whatever argument 1 is what the character's name will be. Now do if char.humanoid is dot health is equal to char.humanoid dot max health. Then player dot player load character. So this is the part, if we click on the button, we're gonna fire remote to the server. We're gonna check if it's of character select type. So now we're gonna check if our character's health is max, like it's 100. So like, you know, in the strongest battlegrounds, if you have like less health, you can't really select any character. It says you need to be full health to select a character. So yeah, this is what we're basically doing here. And if we are at max health, then we'll load our character. We'll reload our character. So you know, in the strongest battlegrounds, we have like multiple spawn locations. So basically, we're gonna do the same thing here. Let's just move this to a random place in the map. Duplicate. So just duplicate all this. Now create a folder in the workspace and call it map. We're gonna store all our spawn locations inside this folder. Now we're gonna do a loop to check if everything in our map is a spawn location. So do for I, v in pairs workspace dot map get children if we is a spawn location, then so if RV is of type spawn location, then create a variable called local num or number, anything you want. But just create a variable called local number, and this variable is going to be equal to math.random 1 comma how many spawn locations you have. I have 4 spawn locations, so I'll do 1 comma 4. So this number is just going to be a random number between 1 and 4. If we dot name is equal to spawn location dot num dot number. So if we use a spawn location and it's a certain number, then char move to we dot position. So if we actually select our character, then just teleport it to a random spawn location. So let's test it out. Now click on character 1. We reloaded and we came into a random spawn location. Great, so it works. Okay, so now it's time to do the Gamepass stuff. So yeah, let's just do that. Underneath our for loop, we're gonna do another for loop. So for I comma we in pairs char folder get children. So we're gonna check if the character we selected is a Gamepass character, or the character we clicked on is a Gamepass character. So if v.name is equal to character name and not we find first child Gamepass ID. Make sure it's spelled exactly like this. And MPS user owns Gamepass async PLR user ID we dot Gamepass ID dot value. Then okay, so do player dot user ID, not player comma user ID. Oh, actually change this to else if, and on top do if we dot name is equal to char name and not we find first child Gamepass ID player dot current character dot value is equal to char name, and just do the same thing for underneath. Okay, so now before we continue the script, we're gonna create another one because I realized we did not create the leader stats yet. So create a regular script into server script service and call it leader stats. And now just delete this. And before we even code in the script, go to game settings and security and just enable this. Yeah, just enable these three. Okay, now. So do local kill data store is equal to game get service data store service. Get data store and kills data store. So basically what this is we're getting there's something called data store. It's to store data, but we're just getting the data store and storing it in a variable called kill data store. So now I'm going to line underneath do game dot players dot player added connect function, and inside here put PLR. So basically what we're seeing here is the moment a player joins the game connected to a function, and do local leader stats is equal to instance dot new folder, and we're going to put that folder inside the player, and do leader stats dot name is equal to leader stats. So basically we're creating a folder called leader stats and we're putting in the player and we're naming it to leader stats. Local kills is equal to instance dot new number value. So there's something called a number value and we're creating it and we're putting it inside our leader stats folder. So do kills dot name is equal to kills kills dot value is equal to 0. So first we're gonna start off with 0 kills, and we're calling this number value kills. So now create a variable called local total kills instance dot new number value, and we'll put in the leader stats, and let's just name this. So total kills dot name is equal to total kills dot value 0. So we're starting off with all our kills at 0. So now do local current char is equal to instance dot new string value, and we're putting it inside the player. So over here I mentioned player dot current character dot value. So current character is a string value, and we're taking the value of that, and that's going to be whatever the character we selected. So we're creating that string value over here, and do current char dot name is equal to current, and do current character dot value is equal to the value of the text inside your character buttons. So this is basically going to be the default character, the character you start off with. So that's going to be char1 in my case. You can start off with any character you want. So now this part is just gonna prevent against errors. So all we need to do is local full success, comma, error message, and this is going to be equal to pcall function local key is equal to player dot user ID. So this is going to be equal to the user ID. Local data is equal to kill data store get async, and we're going to put our key inside. If data then total kills dot value is equal to data 1. So basically, if you're wondering what this means, is pcall function, it's basically like to find any errors that happen when we're executing the code. We're creating a variable called key, and this key is going to be equal to our player's user ID. So this line is just so we know who the player is, and this is just so we get the information from our data store, and we're getting the player's user ID. So we're seeing if this is the same player that has this much kills. So this line is just checking if our data exists. So while not success do. So this is just in case we don't succeed in this. Otherwise, like your kills will be lost, your data will be lost. So we're gonna make it so even if we get an error and this fails, it will still work. So yeah, do while not success do, and just copy paste this line of code, and on top do wait 3. So we're asking our game to take a break for like 3 seconds, and then execute the next line. And now we're going to be loading the data. So do game.players.player removing. So the moment our player leaves, we're going to connect it to a function, and we're going to do player passing. So now do local key is equal to player.userid. Local data table is equal to brackets. So basically, this is basically used for storing data. You can modify it, remove data, and add data. So yeah, this is what a table is. So yeah, we're creating a data table. So I'll do table.insert. We're telling what we insert data to. So we're inserting it to data table. And what we want to insert. So player.leaderstats. Make sure it's the exact spelling and capitalization as over here. And our total kills dot value. The value of our total kills. So now do kill data store, set async, key, and data table. And oh wait, I forgot to I forgot to do the success and error message pcall function. Now just put this instead of that. Now here do while not success do. If this fails, then do the same thing. So this is the code that saves how much kills we have. Okay, so now we should be done with our script. Let's play to test it out. Click on C, click on 1. Gamepass ID is not a valid member of folders. Alright, so if you want to make your character a Gamepass character, go to server storage and choose the character that you want to be a Gamepass character and add a string value and call it Gamepass ID and just paste in your ID here. Okay, so now let's press C, we get teleported and we have no errors, that's good. And we have our character select string value and the value is character1. So if you face any errors or issues, put it in the comments or join my Discord server. I will respond as fast as I can. Now, see you guys in the next video.